What did you want to be when you grew up?
I was the first one in my family of six to go away to school. So it was kind of a big deal. I went to an engineering school. I got an electrical engineering degree. Engineers are pretty unique people because they're charged and they're programmed to solve problems. And I think that helped me along the way in my career. What I wanted to be, probably like, every young boy at one time or another, you wanted to be a professional athlete. I thought I was good in baseball. I thought I was good in ice hockey. I thought I was good in a couple of things. But, when you're not 6'5" and 225 pounds, you're kind of limited in how those athletics will take you in your lifetime. So
How did you get your start in trading?
my father was a physical coffee broker. Back in the day, my father would broker deals between importers and exporters, and he got to know a few people in the business that were on the trading floor. One person in particular was Paul DeMarco Sr., and Paulie Sr. was probably one of the more successful coffee brokers of his era. And he and my dad spoke about me getting involved and going down to the exchange floor. The interesting thing about the exchange floor, John, to me at that young age, was it felt almost like a competitive environment, kind of like, the sports that I had always enjoyed. So when I would see the action on the floor, the yelling and the screaming and the hand motions and the activity of price movement, it was pretty thrilling to me. I always had that in the back of my mind that might be something I would want to do. And when I graduated college, I, was an engineer for Westinghouse. I was in industrial sales. So I'd be selling circuit breakers and transformers to different factories and companies and different suppliers of electrical equipment. And that lasted for a year. And I was in Hillside, New Jersey for that job. And then I got a promotion to sell Chrysler. Chrysler was going to be my account. The reason I did not go to Detroit was when I came home from that job interview, having accepted the job, my father in his company had just lost a key employee. And, one of the things I think young men might enjoy is the opportunity to work with their father. I certainly did. So when I came home that afternoon and saw my father and he told me about this news, it was really an open door for me to say, hey, if you're okay with it, I'd like to come and work with you, which I did. And the market was changing. As I mentioned, my father was matching importers and exporters, and now that the importing and exporting companies were either merging or expanding to do imports if they were doing exporting, or doing exporting if they were doing importing. The role of the broker was changing. So it was at that time he thought that maybe I get involved on the exchange floor as a futures broker. And that's what happened for me in 1980.
How did you get your first membership?
In the brokering business of actual physical coffee for a year. And he actually had a heart attack and had to leave the business for several months. And I got involved, more heavily in the physical brokering side. But when he came back, and as I mentioned, how the physical brokering business was changing, he suggested or thought that it might not be a bad opportunity for me to go down to the exchange floor, which, as I said, was about a year or so after. And what was helpful for me, John, was the fact that I had a year of speaking to the physical coffee companies, and I had a college education. So when I went down to the exchange floor, I had those tools available to me. I was an educated person, and no negative reference here at all, but there were a number of guys on the trading floor that were not college educated. And then the other part that helped me was that I had a familiarity with the people that use the futures market through my experiences on the physical side. So having this physical coffee background and being college educated enabled me to probably get a little bit of a head start on what others who might have broken into the business in 1980 would have had. I recall the membership, I believe at the time was like $93,000. And my father had said, we'll get you a seat. It's going to be myself and two other friends of his that he knew that were in the coffee business. So they each put up about $31,000, and they bought me this seat. At the time, you might recall that you were self-guaranteeing your trades. So I think we had a show, I don't know, it might have been 50,000, it might have been $100,000 of assets or some formulation of that. And you would then be able to trade. With their help, I began trading. It wasn't my interest to trade for myself at the time. I genuinely wanted to grow a business. And so that was part of my pitch to customers, was that, you know, I wasn't trading. And that also may have helped me, John, garner commissions. So through the commissions for that first year, I probably paid off some of that loan of my father and his two friends. And then in a subsequent year or two, probably after three years, I paid them off. And then, you know, what would of course happen, you would end up having errors on the trading floor. And the errors on the trading floor kind of pushed me into having to trade as a necessity, because sometimes you might have to trade out of an error. And that's really that's really how I started to not only make a little bit of money on the personal trading side, but also gave me a deeper understanding about the machinations of the market, which wasn't necessarily clear to me when I first started. I was a young guy. I, you know, was an anomaly to what most of the other brokers were on the trading floor, at least in the coffee pit. So the expression was they would go through you. And what going through you means, if you were offering like 5 lots at 30, if I paid 40 to somebody else and did not pay 30 to you, your customer would assume that your 30 offer was filled. And that would be, he would go through my offer to pay a higher price. And then I would be stuck having to fill my customer at the level of 30. So if I was offering 5 at 30 and two guys paid 40 and 45, and then they offered the market back down to 20 or a quarter, then I would owe my customer a 30 fill, and then I would be long those 5 lots at 30. So that's how I ended up having to kind of defend myself in certain ways of trading. And then after a while, you got to, the relationships with the other brokers improved, and they would respect you enough where they wouldn't necessarily go through you. But there were times when you first started out, they definitely would go through you on purpose to cause you, anger, or having to have a position, or maybe even loss of money that you didn't really expect.